Alright, today we're working on some Layens 6-frame swarm boxes. We built some 7-frame earlier and they were built out of 1x12s. Well, the 1x12 lumber has gotten so expensive, we decided we'd build some 6-frame out of plywood. They're about 5 or 6 pounds lighter, so it should make it a little bit easier putting them up in the tree. Even though the volume isn't quite ideal, it's a whole lot less money to build them like this. So today, even though I have 2 table saws, we're using the Craig rip cut guide system, and I'm running it on my little 18-volt DeWalt panel saw. And this combination works really good. Put a piece of foam insulation board down, and you make your cut. You set your saw really shallow, and you can see these old cuts in here that just barely cut down in there, and that way you can still use your insulation board. Later on, we're going to build some laying hives that are insulated, and we'll use this insulation board inside, so those little minor cuts won't hurt anything. This just works way easier than trying to fight a 4x8 sheet of plywood on a table saw. And this leaves nice straight cuts every time. Alright, we're making the tops on our 6 swarm boxes, and I've set this up as a stock because I'm cutting 10 of these, I think. One thing about the plans at horizontal hives, you don't get a lot of waste on your sheet of plywood if you follow their instructions and cut exactly like they say.
Okay. So we're still working on our 6-frame swarm boxes, and these are going to be the fronts. We needed to put an entrance for the bees to get in, so we made a jig, and I marked using this jig 2 holes, and Roy came back with the 1/2-inch paddle bit and drilled 2 1/2-inch holes in each of the front boards, and then I've drawn a mark between the 2 holes, and I'm connecting them together, and I'm cutting that out with the jigsaw. And this is my first time using the jigsaw, so that's pretty exciting, and so far that's going pretty well. I had to go get a new battery though. It kind of ate the first battery that I had. Turn it around. So that's the end board that's going to have the hive entrance on it.
So the top of this end needs a rabbet in it, but you can cut it with a table saw by doing a cut here and then standing it up like this and doing another cut and taking it out. Or you can do it with a router by routing it in. But I've got a dado blade set up on the table saw, and that works great. I think that's a whole lot easier way to put that ledge in there.
So today we're working on assembling our Layens 6-frame swarm boxes. These swarm boxes are made out of plywood, and they're pieces that we cut yesterday. So we start with the bottom board, and we glue it. All the joints are glued and then stapled. This is the back wall that's going on first.
Always keep your fingers away from where the staples can go, because it really hurts when they pop through the wood and stick in your finger. It takes a couple of weeks for that hole to fill back up and not hurt anymore.
Lessons learned. And now the front board goes on, the front wall. The trick with these end pieces, the end boards, is to make sure the rabbet goes to the inside.
This one's to the inside, and this one's the inside.
Another lesson we learned the hard way. If you put it in backwards, you have to take it apart and do it again. That rabbet on the inside of these two end walls is what the frames rest on inside the swarm box.
So we got these plans off of horizontalhive.com. We're doing this video just to show our friends what we're doing. You know, if they come on a rainy day or something, we put a video on just to aggravate them, show them what we're doing.
And movies.
Yeah. But if you're actually interested in building some of these, Horizontal Hive's got plans and stuff. But on YouTube, B-Boy Bill has excellent videos on how to do all this. He's got a nice shop, and he uses a couple of different cameras so you can get different camera angles and stuff. And he really does a nice job on how to build these. We don't claim to be master carpenters.
We're backyard builders.
Backyard builders. The old table saw here is probably almost as old as I am. I remember this came from my uncle who passed away a few years ago, and I remember this table saw from when I was a young kid, before school age. So we looked it up, and yeah, it was made in the late 50s. Wait a minute. Yeah,
Doesn't look right.
it don't feel right.
Just square this one up. There you go. That's why we're both working on this. It takes 4 hands to get everything squared up and to hold it and staple it.
Yep, there's staples in there.
Okay. Trying to keep Roy's fingers out of the way. Already talked about that.
Wait a minute. Yep.
We've been working the last few days on our frame assembly, and we're starting to run out of room of where to store the frames that we've got assembled. So we decided to go ahead and start building swarm boxes today so that we have a place to put the frames. We got a bunch of those done yesterday too.
Yeah, I told Shirley every time I move into shop, our shop's not very big, I knock a stack over, so I told her these things are multiplying like triples. You young kids will have to look that, have to go. You'll have to Google that. Anytime you build anything that's going to go outside, make sure you use the Tight Bond 3, the ultimate wood glue. There's some other companies out there that have some exterior glue. The Tight Bond seems to really do a good job on any outdoor projects.
So this is the second sidewall going on. Get it squared up to the bottom, and then we're able to square the sides up, the end walls to the side. It doesn't look like it's any kind of. There we go. A little more.
Yeah, this construction grade plywood, it's all warped up when you get it. The sheets won't lay straight, so it takes a little work to get it all lined up sometimes.
Some parts go faster than others. Oh, you need that?
Not bad.
Yeah, sometimes I use a little too much glue. Okay, there's another one. Get the glue all over the table saw. Now we're ready to build the tops for our 6-frame swarm boxes. So we build a frame for the top first. Oops, sorry. It's 2 long pieces and 2 short pieces. So there's our frame. And then we're ready for the top piece. Kind of got glue everywhere. This one?
Yep.
we got another top done.
On my 6 frame swarm boxes, I went ahead and painted the edge here, and I've got that primed. So now it gets a aluminum cover. So we're just using aluminum flashing. It comes in different length rolls, but I forgot what this is, maybe 40 feet or something like that. So I just got a stick measured out here, and I take my framing square to make sure I'm getting a good square cut. And if you just score this stuff with a plain old razor knife, 2, maybe 3 times. I'll use around 3. I try to make sure I get that inside corner there. And when you pop it, it should pop loose. Now this roll of aluminum, it's like a spring, so I keep a couple of clamps on there so it won't pop out like a big spring on me. And that's how you cut it. So I'm cutting all my aluminum flashing sheets to width now. The plans call for using 12-inch wide flashing, and wouldn't you know, the local stores only have 14. They go 10 and 14, they don't carry the 12. So I bought the 14. They're 10-foot rolls, and I had to buy 2 to be able to do this. So when I made my first lid, I cut it down to 12 on the width, from 14 to 12, and the overhang on the ends was longer than the sides, so I got looking at it a little bit. So now I'm just taking 1.5 inches off all the rest of them, so they'll be 12.5 inches wide, and that'll make the overhang on the sides about the same as the ends, so I think it looks a little bit better. So I just got a few more to do. I'm just scoring them with the razor knife the same way I cut the length. Okay, now we're coming to the final stage of building these swarm traps. That's putting the aluminum onto the lid. So I put the lid on here. I kind of get the same distance on all 4 sides. I went around with a Sharpie and I drew me a line on here. So now what I'm going to do is in each corner, you can do this with the razor knife if you want to, but since I got these nice big shears, I'm cutting me out a little corner like that, and I'm going to do that all the way around, and then I'm going to take my seaming pliers and bend this up and make a pan for that lid to sit in. So let me get this done and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, I'm back. So I cut my notches in the other 3 corners, and what I'm doing is taking these seaming pliers and going around my line and bending these edges up. Now you can just lay this upside down over the lid, kind of beat it down with a hammer, but it don't give you decent sharp edges, and this just makes them edges a little bit better there, I think. Now I have done some metal work before, but it was always a little bit thicker stuff than this, and I've worked at some places where I had some pretty nice equipment to work with. A nice shear and a pan brake. And a pan brake, you put your piece of metal in, you can take sections out so you can get it the right size and bend your 90-degree angles, and that works really, really nice. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start stapling this thing, and I'll get a few staples in each side, and then in the middle of the sides, and then I'll go from there. I'll start working the ends. Out of staples. Nope, just had a misfire, I guess. Yep, there you go. So I just like to put a few down each side. Now I can come back and work the corners in and get them looking a little better. On the videos with the other staplers, I was telling you, make sure you keep your fingers away. these are only 1/4" staples. They're same size as most people use in their little hand staplers. But since we had so many to do, it was just pretty cheap to go out and buy one of these automatic staplers. So what I like to do is come here and kind of work these around. Kind of tap that down with a hammer a little bit. Don't look too bad. Let's see, tap that a little bit down right there. Oh, one corner left. I'll go back and put a few more staples around. This is a kind of a, I don't know, I don't know if this really is an important step, putting aluminum. Because I put a good paint job on the boxes. Anyhow, so you could just leave them painted and I think you'd be alright. But if you're going to invest the time and money to build them, you go ahead and put a nice aluminum lid on there, and this thing ought to last, 15, 20 years, I would think. Take them down when they're not in use and store them. So, should last a long time. And actually, on what I did with my 7 frames, is I went in and actually painted the inside here to kind of help seal that plywood. So I'll probably do it on these also. But that's the last step on building our 6 frame boxes. I've got 5 of them left to get a coat of paint. The other 5 are already painted, so we're getting close to being finished on our 6 frame hive boxes.